We're going to have a celebration of Nalini's life. 52 years here at Ananda, and we'll celebrate the time before that too. And this Astral Ascension is written and directed by Nalini and Swami Kriyananda. And you'll see as we go along, everyone has a place and a part. There's going to be a lot of music, and there'll be some stories, specific stories from specific people that Nalini asked to happen, and we're doing exactly what our sister asked us to do. As always. So, let's begin with the song, Life is a Dream.
Life is a dream, time like a stream, carries our burdens away. Never despair, joys everywhere, love can befriend you today. Free from all care, like birds on the air, soar above griefs and worries, seek joy and be gay. Often on earth, things of great worth, worldly ambitions defy. Sometimes a friend helps us ascend up from life's cares to the sky. Love is a star, though shining afar, it can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Love is a star, though shining afar, it can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh.
I'm going to ask you all to stand, and let's begin with a prayer, inviting the great masters to be with us. Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Friend, beloved God,
Friend, beloved God,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Baba Shri Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Moshai,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
Swami Sri Yukteswar,
beloved Guru,
beloved Guru,
Paramahansa Yogananda Ji,
Paramahansa Yogananda Ji,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
we bow to you all.
we bow to you all.
Lift us from darkness, delusion, and uncertainty
Lift us from darkness, delusion, and uncertainty
into the clear light of thy presence.
into the clear light of thy presence.
Ignite our earthliness
Ignite our earthly
with the flame of infinity.
with the flame of infinity.
Inflame our hearts with thy love.
Inflame our hearts with thy love.
Inflame our souls with thy joy.
Inflame our souls with thy joy.
Om. Peace. Amen. Please be seated. We're very glad that Giridhara's mom and sister can be here, Mildred and Diane. And Jitendra is going to give us a short talk at the request of Nalini.
So blessings everyone. It's nice to be together celebrating Nalini's life. I think Nalini would be just so happy to see this celebration and all of us together. I think that, it's one of the things that Nalini cherished among many other things, but she cherished time in satsang very much. I met Nalini many years ago when I first came to Ananda, but really started to form a close friendship with her when I first moved here in 2014, where our desks were next to each other. And so quickly I learned little things about her life which were good to know, like her love for chocolate. So I was able to, exchange chocolate with her many of days where there was the cravings. And there was a lot of little details of Nalini's life that, of course, was very beautiful and inspiring. To talk about Nalini's life, of course, we would be here for a long time to summarize everything that she has done in this life. Of course, she was born in 1944, so she has been around for quite a long time. And I wanted to share that Giridhara put together a very beautiful tribute, little documentary on Nalini's life. So I'll ask Bhaktan now, for those who are watching online, that we're posting a link, which at any point in time when you have the time to celebrate Nalini's life, and you can watch this 30-minute documentary. And for those here at Ananda Village, we'll be streaming it tomorrow playing it on the television in one of the classrooms tomorrow after service. So thank you, Giridhara, for putting together this beautiful offering for Nalini. I know it will bless many of us to see and learn more about her. Nalini, to summarize a few things of this life that she came to live, she had quite an adventure. She went to Stanford, she was in the Peace Corps, she got an advanced degree in education, but that's not who Nalini was. Nalini was light. She was this soul that came here to find God. And even when, of course she came, she found Swami Kriyananda, she found her guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. She lived a miraculous life through her discipleship, but even that wasn't who Nalini was. Nalini was this soul of light and a reflection of God that she so beautifully reflected to many of us. And Nalini's life, I wanted to share that what my dear friend Nayaswami Prakash always reminds me of a very important thing, which is that whenever any of us go through anything, any tests, if we're struggling on any level, he always reminds me that you're not going through that just for yourself, but you're going through it for everyone else. In Nalini's life, if I have ever seen, second to Swami Kriyananda, a life that was victorious, that desire for the soul to come into this life, to find God, to dedicate herself fully and completely to her guru. She did it so beautifully. And she came and went through a lot of tests, not just for her own freedom and purification, but for all of us. And I think that, I share this today from the moment that Nalini, it was almost about a year ago, I was with Nalini, we were having tea, and she just out of the blue said to me, I'd like to ask you a serious question. And I said, go for it. And she said, I want you to talk at my Astral Ascension ceremony. And I was like, well, where do you go with that? I said, sure, of course, yeah. And she told me back then that she started to feel Divine Mother calling her back home. And of course we know all of the tests that she endured over the past year. And just seeing her going through all of this really was so inspiring and beautiful, because no matter what she was going through, she was always just the same in so many ways. Yes, there was comments here and there on, yes, I have to deal with this and that, but at the same time, there was this centered, calm place within her that she always was just wanting to be a perfect disciple. And she cared so much about this work of her gurus. And, you know, if I were to summarize Nalini's life, she loved Swami Kriyananda, she loved her guru, and she loved Divine Mother. And she just loved to talk about Swami. All the time that I spent with her, she loved to talk about Swamiji, about her guru, Yogananda, and about Divine Mother. And I wanted to share, I could go on, but I wanted to share a few points that were very inspiring, which I think really just, you know, really reflected the essence of her life, which oftentimes I assume that as we get closer to our departure, that we begin to shine those qualities within us even more. They become more clear for those who are, of course, present. And so toward the last month, before she'd left the body, you know, she was Nalini. I made sure I brought my notebook with me, my pen, because she had instructions for me. And, you know, she really taught me that even at the end of her life, she was very concerned and inspired to care about the details. And she showed me in her life that with deep love, caring about, you know, even in the background, you know, Nalini wasn't up on stage. Of course, she was singing all the time on stage, but she never was in the spotlight. But even so, her service, her love, her friendship that she extended to everyone, it was the small things that she put great love in. And I think we could all feel that. And even there, her last weeks and days of her life, she was still caring about these small details, which we just tried to navigate as best as possible, Giridhara and those who were around her. But I was inspired by that because she cared. And she cared about my life, all the little details of what was happening. And she was on me for everything, just making sure I was caring about the details. Are you letting people know about this satsang coming up in a week? Are you taking care of this little detail? She served with us online through the Sangha and helping edit and lead satsangs, and it was so inspiring. But then the last 2 points I wanted to make is that, you know, I spoke a lot with her on, you know, the last weeks of her life, more and more about focusing on Divine Mother and focusing on being free in this life. And it was something that she's so humble and just so simple in a beautiful way. And her honesty of just sharing about the process that she was going through and the challenge that she felt with trying to free herself from this life and merging in freedom in that light and freedom in God. And so in one of our conversations, this was after Giridhara brought her back home from the hospital where the decision was made that she would be cared for. And I just say, Giridhara, you did a beautiful job supporting and being there for her. And she was suffering a lot. If anyone was with her, it was really hard to see and to be seeing her in that way. But I have to say that even in that state, as she started to tell me that, okay, we're on the runway now, this is the time, I told her, I honestly, until the last time I saw her, all I could see is vitality and light and this little girl who is still super inspired on life, and I told her that, but I said to her, you know, I can't imagine of all that she had gone through in this life, and especially these last years, that Divine Mother must be liberating you in this life, and nothing less. And so she thought about that for a little while. And then she was very inward toward the last weeks of her life, and she then paused for a long time, and then she lifted her head and she said, "That's on the top of the list." And as much as that seems like a light, cute statement, but that was Nalini's life. It didn't start at that moment, as we all knew that she was starting to prepare to leave the body. But always on the top of her list was God and Guru. And she lived that life in the simple ways, but also in profound ways. As we know, she finished a great project, which she cared a lot about, her book that she released, Transitioning in Grace. And it was just so beautiful to see that self-offering in her life. And then to close, I just wanted to share what I felt most specific that I could tune into, see what Nalini would want me to share today. This was I think it was the last time that I was with her before she passed. I just told her because I could see there was a lot of anxiousness in her. And we were talking a lot. This was a long visit, and we were talking a lot about, this journey toward God and being liberated and all of these deep topics. And I just, we paused for a long time, and I really felt, and I shared with her as much as I could with feeling a sense of knowing and love in my heart. And I just told her, I said, Divine Mother has you in her hands. And then there was a long pause. Minutes went by. And she kind of had her head down. And then, she looked up and, she was crying. And she started to sing, "She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the whole wide world in her hands." And we both were crying in the sense of knowing that she knew that to be true. And I think that if Nalini was here and wanting to share something, I think that's what she would want us all to remember her by, and to remember in our own lives that Divine Mother has you in her hands, and she loves and protects us and guides us. So thank you, Nalini, for your beautiful friendship and love, and may we all feel her blessings continue on in our hearts.
I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I
Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee, O star of my life. I have made thee, O star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee, O star of my life. I have made thee, O star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee, O star of my life. I have made thee, O star of my life. I have made thee, O star of my life.
I'm going to read Paramahansa Yogananda's prayer. The pilot of life has come to redeem our sister Nalini. We know that the Redeemer is her friend, come to fetch her away from the land of broken dreams to the high land of life. Maria's going to lead the chant, I will be thine always.
Well, I first knew Nalini when I was a center leader at the Santa Rosa Center. And when I was center leader there for 10 years. And the most dynamic quality in Nalini, I would say, would be her sweetness. Her sweetness and her love of Swami and of Master. And those were, just the number three number one things, I guess, of who she was. And as you may know if you were around when Swami was here, if you tuned into him, it would be a bumpy ride. But on that bumpy ride, you would look down and you would see you had a really secure seatbelt on, so it was all right. Well, it was the same with Nalini, She's very soft-spoken, very sweet, but when she said something, she meant it. And if you tuned into it, it was a bumpy ride, and you saw the bumpy ride coming, and you wondered how this sweet, talking little person could ask you to go through that. But if you trusted it, you'd come out the other end okay. So one time, when I was thinking about moving to the village, but it was just kind of a thought and a dream for the future, because I had thousands of dollars in debt, and I had kids at home, and I was running the center, and the idea of moving to the village was an impossible dream, but I thought about it. And Nalini would call me from time to time and say, well, there's a job working in the Hermitage Garden. I'd go, yeah, but I don't think I can take a 50% cut in pay and pay my debts, working in the garden. And so, but she would be determined about that. She would come back with another job and another great idea. And I kept saying, well, just kind of look at the facts. This isn't dharmic for me to go with all these debts and not make enough to pay them. So one day she comes to me and she says, I've got an idea, Ramu, and this'll work. And so there's a place downtown called the Tree House, which is where Uddhava lives now, and they're only renting that for $50 a month. So why don't you come and live there. And of course, you'll have to oversee all the ne'er-do-wells that come down at 2 in the morning and shoo them out and that kind of thing. But that's why it's so cheap. But you'll be able to live here and pay your debts. So I went, okay, it's a deal. So I had a landscaping business. I had 60 clients. I called all of them up. I said, I'm out of here at the end of September. Find somebody else. And after I did that, Nalini called me back and said, it's not available anymore. But I knew at that point I had done the dharmic thing. I had put it off, even though it wouldn't have been right for me to move under those circumstances. I put it off until Divine Mother made the decision through Nalini. So I felt secure. I felt like that seatbelt was on. So I came to the village, made half as much. I went deeper and deeper into debt for 6 months. And then, like maybe 10 small things happened over the next 7 years. And I slowly got out of debt. And it still amazes me that that would have happened. It doesn't make sense intellectually. But it was, I worked my rear end off. That's true. But it was a joy. It was just a joy to be here. I mean, I was so happy every morning I woke up to be here. It was just a miracle. And it worked out in the end, and Nalini knew it would. And it was tuning into her that helped that happen. When I think of wonderful days, I think of the time that Hridaya and I went camping with Nalini up, I think it was near Carson Pass, was it? Huh? And didn't I say that? No. Well, I thought it. Nalini and Giridhara and Hridaya and I went up to Carson Pass, I think it was. And came Sunday morning, and we're going for a hike, and we're thinking, gee, a Sunday service is going on, and we're hiking here. What do we do? And Nalini said, why don't we say the Festival of Light? So it all went in random order. Someone said, let us lift up our hearts in a Festival of Light. And then they think, well, what comes next? And someone else would go, blah, 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 blah. And then someone else would go, la-di-da-di-da. And we just, one after another, we filled in the gaps and did the Festival of Light. And it was so beautiful. The wildflowers were out. We're about 10,000 feet. Wildflowers all over the place, and we're going through, and one of the four of us would remember some part of the Festival of Light. And when you're really thinking about it, you're trying to remember it, you really get the words. They really go deep inside, and it felt like it might have felt when Swami created it. It's like, what are those words? Oh, those are those words, and that's what they mean. And the meaning came to life, and the wildflowers were there, and it was just an astral moment. So, but that was being with Nalini. Anyway, she was a wonderful soul. God bless her.
Hello, everyone. Well, I have a story to tell that's kind of a continuation of Ramu's story, but first I have to say, Nalini, I hope I do a good job. I know you're rooting for me. I want to make sure I cover everything. She was adamant about Ramu and I telling stories, adamant. Every time we would go to see her, even up to the very last time, a few days before she passed, Hridaya, going to tell a story, right? I said, yes, Nalini, I will. So this is my story. It continues Ramu's story when he came to the village. And I'd known Nalini a long, long time, and she was here before me, but I came in 1975, and she came, I believe, in 1970. We were friends for a long time. And this is the story about how she became a matchmaker for Ramu and I. It's a good story. She was a pretty sly matchmaker, but I'm not going to focus on her matchmaking abilities. I'm going to focus on other qualities like Jitendra and Ramu were talking about before. Her determination, her loyalty, her deep loyalty to her friends and her guru bhais, and her deep spiritual, and her spiritual depth. So she decided but she was friends with him. She got him here. She was friends with me. And it wasn't anything that she outwardly talked to me about very much, but she started inviting us to go on hikes together. And I knew him, and I was like, I know he's a good person. But we didn't talk about it, you know, Nalini and I. But I remember our first hike was down the Humbug Trail up by Malakoff Dig and State Park. And I would notice that Ramu and I would be sort of out front, and she would like, hey, where's Nalini? And I don't know if Giridhara was in on it, probably not, but she was probably tying her shoe way back there, and that got us walking, talking, getting to know each other. So then it continued. We went on a couple more hikes, and it started getting, you know how it is, it's a little awkward when you don't really know what's happening, or do you want to continue this? We'd both been married, and he tells me later that, his sort of stepping back from it was like, I've been married a couple times, I don't know if I want to kind of do this again. But I have to say, I knew from the very start, that was a good guy. Well, you guys know it, most of you know it. Anyway, so like my intuition was working, okay, but like, let's just see what happens here. And then he got a little bit pulled back, and just said, I know, let's not go on any more hikes. I don't think we should go on any more hikes. And I remember going to a really awkward date to a really bad movie. And after that, it was like, okay, we'll just give it a rest. And then, I don't know how long it was, but he got it in his mind, he said, you know what, Hridaya and I haven't meditated together yet. And he was having I think it was a phone conversation with Nalini. And she said, now Ramu, have you and Hridaya started meditating together yet? And he said, well, we both coming up with the same idea. And this is what she said, and this goes deeply to my heart, because it was the reason kind of that he and I really got together. She said to him, I had an experience in meditation, and I saw light around you as a couple. I saw light around you. It was real, Ramu. I don't usually tell these experiences that I have, but I'm telling you. And from that moment on, we started meditating together, and his intuition started working a little better. And we got together, and I joke about the matchmaking part. I never joke about the depth of what she did. Her loyalty, she was determined she was going to make this happen. Her determination, her loyalty, and that depth, the spirituality, that was Nalini. So, hope I did good, Nalini.
So I was very blessed to meet Nalini in 1973. We were both at the meditation retreat at that time. She was an incredibly beautiful woman, and I felt really blessed that she befriended me. Not only was she beautiful, she was determined, as everybody said. She was very sweet. And our energies kind of matched that way. And we became lifelong friends. And she also, we shared a love of music. So we were in the first Ananda choir together, which was quite an honor. She also found out that I was, we were both very devoted and loved God, and one of the ways that I was expressing my devotion in private was to read Yogananda's words and then create some songs, because I had a background in music. And she found out about this, and I was really shy. I was very quiet and shy. And so for me, singing these songs was a very personal thing. It was just like with a few friends. Nalini wanted to go big. And that was not my nature in any way, shape, or form. So, but those who've been around a while might remember Nalini and I would get up and do duets. That was not my idea. She liked the songs, and she knew how to harmonize with them, and she wanted to share them. And that was a theme in her life, was to share. And I just felt really blessed to get caught up in her very serviceable energy and determination. I found this quote from Swami: "Our duty is to share with others, to become channels for Master. We don't count for anything, but we do have a duty to serve a very great mission. We should not sit back and think God will do it. He doesn't do it, except through people who choose to tune in and become his channels." And I just really feel that was Nalini's mission. It was a signature strength for her. She was not going to sit back. Yeah, she was kind of in the background on a lot of things, but she was always there. We went to countless lectures by Swami Kriyananda together. We went to every Ananda event that was available. She inspired me to go on my first trip abroad. I'd never been to Europe before. She was like, "We're going to go see Swami Kriyananda." So we went to Italy and saw Swami Kriyananda. So I just really felt like I was on her coattails a lot, and I did a lot of things. I was blessed to do a lot of things that I wouldn't have otherwise done if she hadn't had that really great serviceful energy and just ability to keep going and wanting to participate in every way possible. She also had really good people skills. And I don't know if any of you had the same memory, but whenever there was a big crowd, a spiritual renewal week or any kind of event where there was a lot of people, I would see Nalini, and she was over there sitting with a guest or a friend, and she was just deeply engrossed in conversation and just tuning everything else out, because she was just so good at relating, and she wanted to get into the details with people and really make a strong connection with them. And I just really appreciate that about her. To the very end, she touched my life very deeply. She touched, I know, countless people that she made a difference in their life because she took the time to connect with them. And when at a certain point in my time here, I went off to nursing school. And that was in the Seattle area. And I was a little disconnected from the village. And Nalini was, I have to say, the one who was the most loyal to our friendship. She stayed connected. She was emailing me or calling me or writing to me consistently. And she was like my lifeline when I felt I was getting caught up in the school scene and everything. And Nalini was always there for me. And I have to say, she was one of the driving forces of getting my newly created family back here to Ananda. And a lot of them are back there right now. So let's give Nalini credit for creating this beautiful life that we have now. So determination and willpower, everybody's talked about that. And she showed that to me up to the very end. I was with her just a week ago today. And I'm also a nurse, so I thought, well, okay, I'm coming. She's on oxygen. She's got many, many uncomfortable things going on in her body. I'm just going to be a quiet presence there. I'll take her to the bathroom, whatever she needs. Well, that isn't what she had in mind. I came in and she said, Maitri, let's sing. And I'm like, you know, you're having trouble breathing. We're going to sing. But she's like, get off the harmonium. And she knew which song she wanted to sing, which was a song that I had written a long time ago and isn't done much, but it was to the Guru. It was called Light of My Life. And, you know, I was not prepared. I did not have my music. I hadn't sung it for so long. I was forgetting the words. She didn't care, you know. Okay, get out the harmonium, we gotta get the right notes, we gotta get the harmony right. And I was thinking, are we gonna make a recording? What are we gonna do? But it was just so beautiful. And right now, Nalini, that time, there was a verse that I couldn't remember. And it's kind of ironic. The verse had the words in it, I will never forget. That I was forgetting it. So, Nalini, the words are, you are the light of my life, the moon of my sky. When I look up, my soul softly sighs. I'll never forget the depth of your eyes, the strength of pure joy that in your heart lies. I just feel that Nalini was a great blessing in my life for so many years, and I know that's true for many, many people. And our heart connection really transcends the physical, so even though she's not here physically, I just feel she's going to still be helping me and many others with her beautiful, beautiful spirit. And I really just think the best way that we can honor her spirit is to connect with each other, to treasure the friendships that we have with the people that uplift us, because those are really the greatest treasures in life. And I thank Nalini for being a shining diamond in my life.
And I'd like to just read here for our sister Nalini. We are come together on an occasion of dual meaning, mixed with sadness and with joy. The sadness is ours for a time. The joy is hers, whose spirit is now risen. And the words of the psalmist in the 23rd Psalm are those of Nalini now. For she is in the bosom of the Lord and can truly say, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now I'd like to ask our singers to come up.
I've known them forever, they've haunted my slumber and called to me out of the deeps of space. The love that they promise has helped me remember another time, a caring embrace. Dark eyes in the morning, dark eyes in the evening, dark eyes in the starlight at end of day. Dark eyes that speak silence, they whisper, come find me. You'll never know true love if you stay.
Now I seek them in the winter time, oh, I seek them in the spring. Those two dark eyes draw my heart away to where sun and moon sing. I laugh now in the summertime when ripples on the river play. I laugh soaring with the meadowlarks, love has made my heart gay. I laugh soaring with the meadowlarks, love has made my heart gay.
I've known them forever, they've haunted my slumber and called to me out of the deeps of space. The love that they promised has helped me remember another time, a caring embrace. Dark eyes in the morning, dark eyes in the evening, dark eyes in the starlight at end of day. Dark eyes that speak silence, they whisper, come find me. You'll never know true love if you stay. Now I seek them in the winter time, oh, I seek them in the spring. Those two dark eyes draw my heart away to where sun and moon sing. I laugh now in the summertime when ripples on the river play. I laugh, soaring with the meadowlarks. Love has made my heart gay. I laugh, soaring with the meadowlarks. Love has made my heart gay. I've known them forever. They've haunted my slumber and called to me out of the deeps of space. The love that they promise has helped me remember another time, a caring embrace. Another time, a caring embrace.
I'd like to read from Yogananda's Whispers from Eternity, I Am Thy Bird of Paradise. Thy astral airplane of parting came to take my soul away from this earth. I wondered through what strange skies I would soar now, and to what lands I would travel. I asked the mystic pilot, cosmic law, whither I was to go. That silent one answered soundlessly, I am the pilot of life, mistakenly called the terrible death by ignorant earth folk. I am thy brother, uplifter, redeemer, friend, unloader of every gross burden of bodily troubles. I have come to fetch thee away from thy valley of broken dreams, to the highlands of light where poisonous vapors of sorrow never rise. I have broken mercifully thy cage of flesh attachment, that thy soul bird may escape. I have broken thy chains of disease and fear, thy long encasement behind bars of bones accustomed thee to thy little cage, making thee cling to it fearfully, even when I opened its door. Yet in thy heart thou didst want thy freedom always. Why now art thou fear-filled, having won thy long-craved freedom? O bird of paradise, hop into my plane of omnipresence. Fold now thy fluttering wings and ride with me peacefully, anywhere, everywhere, in thine eternal home.
I guess Nalini got the right assignments because what needs to be said has been said. And to each of you for coming, thank you. I'm going to tell one story. It's a Swami story. In 1977, Swami Kriyananda, after Sunday service, would invite everyone to come over to the Dome, which was his house. And the Dome was, if you've been to Crystal Hermitage, it's just the Dome. That was his entire house. And so we would all go there. Everyone in the community and anyone that came to Sunday service, everyone was invited. So Swami would just talk to us, have a satsang, answer questions, but very informal. So one Sunday, we were there, and I was in the back with Prakash, as usual, and we were up by the door when you enter the Dome. Swami was down by the Krishna statue across the room. And Swami was talking to people, and he said, oh, I'd like that book. And I think it was A New Path. And he said, Ananta, toss that to me. So I picked up the book and I looked across the room. He didn't say, hand it to people. He said, toss it to me. So I threw it to him. And being a 25-year-old American male, I wanted to make sure that the pass was complete. So I put it in the numbers, and that's what you do. And I hit Swami, and he staggered back, and he was laughing. Everyone was laughing. And I felt bad for a half a second, but Swami wasn't into me feeling bad. So he looked at me like, kid. But then he said, and Swami never really said anything offhanded. He said, and everyone was laughing, and he said, that's not something you ask Ananta to do. That's something you ask Nalini to do. And of course, everyone laughed. But there was a lot behind that. Because Nalini was sensitivity and decorum. And as we've heard, she was gentle but powerful. And that is something you could have asked Nalini to do. And Swamiji had that respect for Nalini and for every one of us, because part of that lesson was each of us has something to give. And yes, Seva and Jyotish were our leaders, yes. And Devi and Jyotish were our spiritual directors, yes. But Nalini and each one of us has a place in Master's work. And it's just be yourself. Just be Nalini if you're Nalini, and be Hridaya if you're Hridaya, and be the singers if you're the singers. Just be yourself. And that's what Swami was saying, is just we each have a place and a part for Master. Never be ashamed of it. Never wish you were someone else, or that you were as smart as Nalini, or as, whatever. It's not important. What's important is that you put your heart into it. And that's what Nalini did. And that's what she showed us. I cannot tell you how many kirtans to Rama and Krishna and Paramahansa Yogananda, and how many concerts we sang in Sacramento in the many years that we were, Giridhara and Nalini, Ray and I were together there. But we sang and we chanted and we loved God. And that's, as has been said, what Nalini did. And that's what Swamiji loved. That's why I took her to India on that trip previous to me completing my pass to him. She had already been to India with Swamiji because Swamiji valued and recognized her devotion, her dedication, her love for God, her love for Master, and her friendship for Swamiji. After he passed, it didn't diminish, transferred to Jyotish and Devi. They're our spiritual directors. If they were able to be here, they would have led this ceremony. Me and Maria were in the bullpen, ready to go if needed. And since they went, we did it for her. And it's a great honor to serve her. So keep that in mind. Now we're going to have a flower ceremony. This is part of the Astral Ascension. And I'm going to have Giridhara place the roses on a cross on the altar. The white rose symbolizes life in God and the purity of expression of the departed soul. The red rose symbolizes the bouquet of love and goodwill of the entire congregation, here and online. We're concentrate on the red rose and offer your love and goodwill to Nalini's soul. We're going to have Giridhara light the incense, which symbolizes the earth life of Nalini, which is gradually disappearing and finding its greater existence in the spirit. And there are some beautiful pictures on this altar of Nalini with Swamiji, the day she got married, to Giridhara, with the book, and being blessed by Swamiji. Which I'm sure she's being blessed by Swamiji right now. on another plane. Then I'm going to ask Jitendra to come up, please, and he'll read the Astral Ascension ceremony. Do you have a copy, Jitendra?
So for those who might be new to the ceremony, this is a ceremony that Swami Kriyananda created for us to tune in to the soul of Nalini, to the soul that is now ascending into the light. So now is a time to focus on that essence of who Nalini truly was, that spark and reflection of God's perfect love, perfect light, and freedom. So I will ask you to pray and follow along silently. Dear friend Nalini, you who have gone before us have entered a realm which our souls remember, a place of freedom, light, and laughter. Take with you on your journey our blessings and our love. We shall miss you. Our desire is not to hold you back, but only to tell you, friend, we are yours. Our love and support are ever yours, and our prayers for your highest happiness. We shall meet again. Once more we shall laugh together, rejoice together, and share in the joy of seeking Him. Claim your soul's freedom. Bless all who ever harmed you or ever wished you harm. Give them your love in your prayer for their freedom in God. Friend, cast from your heart all outward attachments. Realize that earthly goals, however shining, are but dreams. God is the only reality. Burn your earthly desires in the fire of wisdom. Burn earthly limitations in the blaze of inner freedom. Burn earthly disappointments in the flames of spreading peace. Burn earthly joys in the bonfire of divine bliss. See your physical form as a discarded garment. Clothed you now are in garments of radiant light. O free soul, see your past actions as scenes in a vast unfolding tapestry. Feast not your gaze wistfully on episodes already finished, but look ahead. New adventures await you, fresh, joyous victories as you advance toward perfect freedom. And what of us, friend, who love you and would be remembered by you? Behold us as threads of light in the tapestry of your life, threads which through the magnet of soul friendship will appear ever and again, woven with increasing beauty as our hearts expand together in God's love. Divine Mother, receive this, thy child. Purify her in thy perfect light and love. Grant her eternal freedom in thee. Om. Amen.
Hello there, brother Bluebell. Play me a tune today. The breezes on the meadow made you look so gay. The meadowlarks are singing, joy's in the air. Come set your bells a-ringing, you've gladness to share. Hello there, sister Dewdrop. Linger a little while, your colors in the sunlight make a monarch style. What need have I for treasures, diamonds or gold? The sweetest of all pleasures are here to behold. Hello there, dearest kinsman, bells and laughing brooks, you timid little beetle that hide in private nooks. God made us of his gladness, come then and sing, to cure the world of sad. So ring, bluebell, ring, to cure the world of sad. So ring, bluebell, ring.
Giridhara recorded this shortly before she passed. That's when she sang this song.
Hello there, brother Bluebell, play me a tune today. The breezes on the meadow have made you look so gay. The meadowlarks are singing, joys in the air. Come set, your bells are ringing, you've gladness to share. Hello there, sister Dewdrop, linger a little while. Your colors in the sunlight would make a monarch smile. What need have I for treasures, diamonds or gold? The fairest of all pleasures are here to behold. Hello there, dearest kinsmen, pebbles and laughing brooks, you timid little beetles that hide in private nooks. God made us of his gladness, come then and sing, to cure the world of sadness. So ring, bluebell, ring, to cure the world of sadness. So ring, bluebell, ring, to cure the world of sadness. So ring, bluebell, ring.
We'll have one last reading from a poem of Yogananda's entitled, Thou and I Are One. And let's imagine this, realize this for our sister Nalini. Thy cosmic life and I are one. Thou art the ocean, and I am the wave. We are one. Thou art the flame, and I am the spark. We are one. Thou art the flower, and I am the fragrance. We are one. Thou art the father, and I am the child. We are one. Thou art the beloved, and I am the lover. We are one. Thou art the song, and I am the music. We are one. Thou art the spirit, and I am all nature. We are one. Thou art my friend, I am thy friend. We are one. Thou art the master, and I am thy servant. We are one. Thou art my mother, I am thy daughter. We are one. Thou art my master, I am thy disciple. We are one. Thou art the ocean, and I am the drop. We are one. Thou art all laughter, I am a smile. We are one. Thou art the light, and I am the atom. We are one. Thou art consciousness, I am the thought. We are one. Thou art eternal power, and I am thy strength. We are one. Thy peace and I are one. Thy joy and I are one. Thy wisdom and I are one. Thy love and I are one. That is why thou and I are one. Thou and I were one, and thou and I will be one evermore.
I'm going to invite those of you who would like to, you can come up and there's rose petals. There's 3 different places you can get them, and you can come up. They're symbolic of divine blessings on the life of Nalini as she leaves this world for better shores. And we're going to, after we close, we're going to have chanting. You're welcome to come up at whatever pace you feel to, and we'll be outside. So now I'd like to ask you all to rise and let us send Nalini blessings on the journey in life. Let us chant Om 3 times. Close with a prayer, and then you're welcome to come up as you feel to. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Morshaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yoganandaji. We thank you for the blessing of Nalini's friendship, the time we had to spend with her. Bless her always. Bring your care. Bless her with light and joy. As she blessed all of us. With light and joy. Om Shanti. Wait. Hridaya has a message from Nalini.
I just got this from Nalini. I want to have us all recognize Giridhara and honor him. And I think you have graduated with honors from that great university of caregiving in the sky. I don't say that in a joking manner, but it is my way to kind of be cute when I say things. But I just want to say, and I know we all feel this, you made it possible for all of this to take place, for her to be able to leave with grace. And it's a great blessing to you. It's a great blessing to you.